Hello, my name is Cameron Reed. I'm the new band director at Delphi City Schools. I want to welcome you all to the band program for the 2020-2021 school year. I have a lot of hopes for this year, and I hope you guys are all excited for it too. So this video is going to act like a parent meeting of the sort. So normally I would like to get a chance to meet all of you before the season starts, but unfortunately with our circumstances, we just can't do that. So hopefully this acts as somewhat of a good substitute. So today we're going to be talking about pretty much all the forms and documents that are related to the marching band season and for band camp, which is just around the corner. All these documents can be found at our band webpage. The link is going to be below in either the comments or the description of this video. First, I would like you to find the marching band handbook. This should be under the forms tab on our band page. So there are going to be a lot of changes this year. All of them are for the better. We want to make sure that we're building a program that is surrounded by organization, student success, and also student enjoyment. So the first big change is that we're going to be establishing what I call these three pillars. The first pillar is going to be a tradition of excellence. The second is an attitude of gratitude, and the third is extraordinary respect. These three pillars we're going to be using throughout the school year. Students are going to be expected to uphold these values on their daily basis in their band activities and their school activities at all times. And really, if we stick to those values, I think we can see the program just grow exponentially based off that alone. So if you scroll down through the band handbook, we get to the course overview. So enrollment in the band program is signifying that a student is participating in marching band and concert band in the springs. If you're a student, I know in the past, students may have been enrolled in the fall, but not necessarily marched. And unfortunately, we are changing that policy. So if a student is enrolled in the fall semester, they are supposed to be marching. And the reason for that is that the curriculum indicates that performances are the number one priority of the student's learning. So a student enrolled in a class is going to be expected to perform because that's what is stated by the state standards, and really, honestly, it's the core of the curriculum. So marching band will go through all the way through the football season, and then as the football season ends, we're going to transition over to concert band, and we'll talk about concert band much more when we get to that time. Next, you're going to see some objectives. These are some program objectives that we're trying to establish. Those first three refer to the three pillars that we're working on. The next one is we want to build well-rounded musicians. We want to promote a successful and enjoyable program. We want to continue to challenge ourselves, challenge each other to grow, and then finally we want to make memorable experiences. When I was in band, honestly, the best part about it was the experiences I made with my friends and with my teachers, and that's what we're trying to instill in this band program now. Next, you have our code of conduct. Essentially, we want students to, act appropriately when they're with the band. All the school rules in regards to the code of conduct are to be followed. These rules can be found in the high school handbook. If a student ends up breaking one of these rules, they're subject to a verbal warning, removal, detention, etc., and that's up to my discretion based off the situation. I don't expect us to have that problem. I've already had a chance to meet with the seniors, and it sounds like these group of kids are just wonderful and extremely well behaved. So hopefully we don't have any problem in that area. Next, we have our dress code. Similar to the code of conduct, everything defined in the high school handbook applies to the band program. At band events, including band camp, students are expected to dress appropriately. If you have to question whether your outfit is appropriate, chances are that it's probably not. So look over the high school handbook in regards to those. For band camp specifically, we really need students to be wearing shoes, socks, appropriate athletic wear. These clothing is going to make them feel the most comfortable while they're on the field and make the band camp experience the most enjoyable. Next, we have our grading policy. This grading policy refers only to the high school students. We have a few middle school, 8th graders who are marching with us this year. This is actually the last year we're going to be doing that. Next year we're going to a all high school marching band. But for this year, 8th graders, we have a different policy at the middle school. So for high school, I want you to notice that 40% of the grade is performances. This is going back to this idea that students enrolled in the band program in the fall are expected to be marching band because marching band is the only opportunity to perform. Therefore, if they weren't in marching band, they would essentially at most get a 60% in the course. So performances is 40%, class attendance and participation is another 40%. The biggest thing we want the students to do is come to class, be engaged, and be an active member of our program. We will be having various music checks, playing assignments throughout the school year, and also written work, quizzes, exams. That primarily is to gauge growth for the students. Not too much of it is going to be super critiqued, but more so we want to make sure the students are growing through the school year, that they're learning and becoming better musicians. All right, uniforms. If you are a marching band member, you're going to be issued a band uniform. It includes jacket, pants, hat, etc. Color guard, you'll have a uniform as well. Everyone's going to have storm coats. The student is required to purchase or borrow marching band shoes. The boosters does have a fair amount of shoes for you to borrow. They're hand-me-downs, but they'll work just as fine. Important note, difference from last year. In years past, students have been allowed to wear simply black tennis shoes or black dress shoes. We are going to change that, and everyone is going to be required to wear these black marching band shoes. This is for uniformity purposes, and also these marching band shoes are the most comfortable and honestly the best footwear for a student to be wearing while in the marching band field. For summer uniforms, this includes a red polo, similar to this one, but without the Ohio State on it. It will say something in regards to the Jefferson Band program. Students will buy the band polo. It's about $15. They'll have to provide black pants, and then you also have your black marching band shoes. It's important to note, as you see in italics, that the uniform is entrusted to the students, and therefore they are liable for any damages outside normal wear and tear. This means we give you a jacket, and you come back with a whole arm kind of missing, you're going to be liable for those damages. The uniforms are quite expensive, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of them throughout the entire season. For concerts, when we get into the concert season, our only requirement really is that students wear dress clothing. You can either wear a dress shirt, pants, tie, or a dress that's below the knee. Obviously, all this stuff needs to follow the dress code found in the high school handbook. We don't want any clothing that is too provocative or too distracting for the audience, because we want the audience to focus on the music and not necessarily what we are wearing. Next, we have our list of fees. These are a few fees. Obviously, with me being new here, I'm not exactly sure what has been done in the past. So as fees and as things change, you will be informed of what it needs to be changed. But these are the general ones that are around right now. We have your band camp fee of $100. That's payable to the Delphus Jefferson Band Boosters. You have your cost of shoes for marching band members and for the guard shoes. You also have your band polo, which is another $15. Attendance policy. So essentially, we need all students to be at rehearsals at all times. And the reason for this is that if you try and rehearse with 75% of the band, well, you have 25% of the, there's gaps throughout the drill, and it's very difficult to clean drill and to work on rehearsals with even one student gone. However, absences happen. I understand that there are conflicts. If there is to be an absence, I need to know prior to the absence. That can be either in writing or in a verbal communication. I would prefer in writing with a signed note from a parent or guardian. So those are if you have to miss a performance, obviously performances are a huge portion of your grade. There are only a few excused absences. Those would include serious illness or injury, legal reasoning, or death in the family. If that is the case, I do need proof from a parent or a guardian. After school rehearsals. Like last year, I understand that there were rehearsals Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 3 to 4. This year, we're going to keep that same schedule. However, in the future years, we plan on changing that to kind of lessen the after-school commitment for students. But for this year, those rehearsals are mandatory unless stated otherwise with sports or some sort of family conflict. And again, I just need to be notified beforehand. And it's a communication thing. If I know beforehand, I feel better that they'll be gone for a good reason. If, let's say, a student is not there, I don't know why. I get worried. I will make sure to figure out what's going on. It's better for me to be in the know than for me to not know and to think something else is wrong. For communication, you can expect to see a lot of communication via email, phone, or through the new band webpage, which is obviously linked below. Please just periodically check these platforms for different messages. We also have a Facebook page called Delphus Jefferson Band. This is also a common form of communication we use. Students, as described in the handbook, we have a no tolerance policies for cell phones and social media use during school or band events. So please don't be on your phone during rehearsal. I'll take it, and you don't want to deal with that. Let's just leave it there. Next, we have our calendar for the school year. I want to say a lot of these dates are very tentative. The times are very tentative, and that's simply with the situation we're in. Notice we have our morning rehearsals. Those are the 2 weeks prior to school from 9 to 11. These are all mandatory unless I'm notified prior to. You have our 10 football games and our parade for the Canal Days Parade. I have not gotten word yet to see if that is a go. Those times are from last year's, so assuming that everything is a go, those are probably going to be the times for this coming year. Concerts-wise, we have our Marching Band Showcase, which is also a dinner, which is what we've done in the past. It's going to be formatted a little bit differently, but essentially it's going to be the marching band performing for the parents, followed by a meal. We have our holiday band concert, which will be shared with the middle school bands. So an ensemble, which I will discuss with students at a later time. We have 2 band concerts in the spring. The first one is going to be purely for the high schoolers, and then the second one is going to be mixed with the middle school as well. And then finally, we have our band banquet, commencement, and our Memorial Day parade near the end of the year. Those are a little bit too far in advance for me to know the exact dates and times, but as soon as I know of the dates and times, I will notify you of what that is. When you're done reading this document, I will need you to sign it at the bottom. All these forms can be submitted to me either electronically through email or handed to me at the first day band camp. If those 2 cases don't happen, we will have a few extra copies at band camp, but plan on either bringing your own or submitting it electronically. I want to turn your attention now to our band camp schedule. So band camp is going to be from July 13th to the 17th. It will be at the Trinity Family Life Center, which is over on Ambrose Drive. This is right behind the Arby's. Obviously, there's our cost, our $100 cost. I understand that from previous years, this is a decrease, especially because we're not going away. So here's our itinerary. Most of the rehearsals are going to be outside as we need to follow social distancing guidelines. A few things to note at the bottom here. So first thing, forms and documents. Those are the 4 forms that I need to have signatures for by the first day of band camp, especially the medical form. We don't want any things to happen and not know who to contact or what we are allowed to do. Check-in procedure. Parents, we ask that you drive up to the building and simply drop off your student and then pick them up at the end of the day. We don't need any parents coming into the building unless it's to sign forms that were not able to be printed out or returned in prior to band camp. Students, we're going to ask that you wait outside the building in a line social distancing 6 feet apart. If you have a mask at the time, masks should be worn. They are highly recommended. Students, when you check in, you're going to have your temperature taken. You're going to sign in notifying whether or not you have any symptoms of the coronavirus. If there are any symptoms whatsoever, you'll be sent home. You'll be isolated and then sent home for the safety of yourself and for everyone here. It's important that as we go through all these safety procedures, it's to ensure that we can remain open for the school year. If one student or one adult ends up getting sick, that could be the end of the band program. And we don't want that to happen, so that's why we're being as cautious as we can with these procedures. For dismissal, parents, we ask that you remain in your vehicles and wait for your student to come to you. This is just to help with the whole social distancing aspect. Students, you are not allowed to hang out in groups and socialize in group settings before and after rehearsals. That's an athletic or a state guideline that we have to follow. For lunches, Booster's going to be providing lunches during band camp. If a student has dietary restrictions, we ask that the student brings a meal for themselves in the case that we don't have anything that we can offer. We will do our best to offer plenty of options, but unfortunately we can't cater to every single student's need. So it's going to be the student's responsibility to make sure they have something that they can eat for lunches. And the students will be notified of what is for lunch prior to band camp. Probably for your knowledge, during lunches we're going to be following all regulations and guidelines set forth by restaurants, meaning students are going to be sitting 6 feet apart. All volunteers will have gloves, masks, their temperatures will be taken, and so forth and such. And that's just to ensure everyone's safety. On Friday, we have our family show and awards. The family show will start promptly at 1:30 p.m. Parents and family members are allowed to come at 1 o'clock. We ask that you remain in the marked off section and social distance yourselves. Masks will be highly recommended. 6 feet, we ask that you remain 6 feet distancing. And so we'll have the performance at 1:30. Following that performance, we'll have our student awards, which they've done years past, and we want to make sure we keep that tradition alive. Following the awards, families and students are allowed to disperse and head home. We simply ask, once again, to not coagulate and talk and socialize after rehearsals, as we are not allowed to do that, and that's simply just a policy that we have to follow. All right, we'll get to the other COVID-19 policies in a second. If you need to contact me at all for an emergency reason only, I have my personal cell phone number there. Other questions should be reached through email, and there's my email for you. Packing list. But this is usually stuff that students have brought in the past. Key things here. The 10 drops to mark drill. I know that's been a thing how students have learned drill in the past. We're going to be using those again this year. They're simply just for new members. Those are items in which, a little bean bag, little wooden block or something that you use to mark your spot on this field, so that when we're learning drill, you can see your spot and know which direction you're going to. Water bottles. We will not have a community place to fill up water bottles. That's just following guidelines. We ask that students bring a full water bottle to band rehearsal. Once you've depleted your water bottle, the boosters will provide individual plastic water bottles for you to use. But we only have so many, so we want to make sure the students have their water bottle first. We will also be providing individual masks for each student, as well as individual Purell bottles for students. Those are to be brought every single day for rehearsal. All right, can you turn your attention now to the document that says COVID-19 response policy? This is a document stating the band's position and what we are doing to make sure that we have the safest band camp possible. We have to follow all the procedures and make sure everything is done correctly and by the books to ensure that we are all safe. Some key things here, obviously everyone's going to be asked to maintain 6-foot distancing. Band members are strongly encouraged to wear masks at all times. Obviously while we're playing, that's going to be a little bit difficult, but we'll be able to manage. We ask that no one carpools to band camp. We strongly suggest that you travel alone. That way we're not, contacting other families and whatnot. Every day we ask that we're going to be doing symptom checks. Those are the symptoms stated by the CDC, including cough, fever, shortness of breath, etc. I talked about the water coolers. Equipment and personal items. All equipment and personal items is going to be separated. Again, keeping that 6 feet distance. We have what we call the no-touch rule. So students are not permitted to be actively giving high fives or bumping knuckles or any sort of physical contact from student to student. Waves, saying hello, good job. Those are types of actions that are appropriate. But there's simply just there's not a tolerance for any physical contact. On Friday, when we do have spectators and family members, we ask that you all follow these policies, maintain the 6 feet distancing, masks. If you are not a parent volunteer during band camp, you're not permitted to stay on the facility site during band camp. That's for us to keep our numbers down in order to maintain social distancing. So this document we ask that you please sign and submit on the first day of band camp. This ensures that we all know what are the policies for this year. Now can you turn your attention over to the medical form? This is a similar medical form as PASS. Simply, we ask that you fill it out. This can be submitted electronically or in person on the first day of band camp. This is just a valuable document for us to make sure we know what to do in the case of a medical scenario. The last thing that you will need to sign is this video and audio release form. Throughout the years, we're going to be doing a few video recording type of activities, including student music checks may be recorded. We might record our rehearsals to play back for the students as a learning tool and an educational tool. We may post videos of performances on our Facebook page and our website, and that's pretty much what this document is saying I agree to this and I don't have a problem with this. Another form that needs to be filled out and signed prior to band camp. So those are all the documents that need to be signed for band camp. Obviously there's a lot there, and it's a little bit difficult for me to kind of know what to talk about, knowing that there's not an audience in front of me right now. It's just a screen with a camera. However, if you have questions, please email me with any questions you have. I'm sure I will have an answer for them. So with that, I look forward to meeting all of you at some point. Band camp's right around the corner. We're going to hit the ball rolling, and we're going to have a good time. So with that, I hope you have a good night, and I'll be seeing you all soon.